Hello everybody, welcome back to Firefield Junction and welcome to part 2 of the Lima Class 37 project. So if you haven't seen part 1, I recommend you go and watch it, although you don't really have to if you don't want to. But in part 1, we basically took the loco, we had a very quick look at it to start with, and we gave her a good service, gave her a good strip down because she wasn't working to start with. But we stripped her down, gave her a service, gave her a clean, and she's now running very nicely, nice and smooth, and basically pretty much as good as she can be. Since then, I've also done a little bit of modification, and when I say modification, I've done a little bit of work. I basically added a coupling to one end, as you can probably see there. I'm only going to do a coupling on one end, mainly, well, for a start it seemed easier to do it on this end. This is the motor bogie. And then what I'll do on this end is at some point we'll add some detail to this end. We'll put some various brake hoses and maybe some electrical cables as well, and just to detail up the loco a little bit. But this is the end of the loco that I've designated for pulling, and what I've done is using a if I hold it up to the camera for you, is using a spare NEM pockets that I've taken off a spare wagon. Struggling to get my words out at the moment. I've basically taken a NEM pocket off of a spare wagon that I have. It's basically a wagon that's basically only good for spare parts really. I've taken that NEM pocket off. I've then screwed it to the bogie frame of the loco using the same screw that holds the bogie frame on. And then originally what I was going to do is I was just then going to use it as a regular NEM pocket. But unfortunately I couldn't get the well, for starters the coupling stuck out way too far, so I decided to scrap that, and what I've done is I've used a KD coupler, and this is a KD coupler that you'd usually screw onto either a loco or wagon or something like that, and I've just glued it onto the top of the NEM pocket using some super glue. And it's working fine. The coupling engages properly with wagons. It is a bit lower than it is on other wagons, but it's still at a decent height, so it's coupling up to stuff fine. The loco can handle a decent rake of wagons absolutely fine, and it's not causing any issues. So at least we've successfully added a coupler to the loco, and it obviously looks better than the large tension locks that obviously would usually be on this loco. But with that out of the way. By the way, I didn't film this yet, by the way, because originally I wasn't going to do it the other night, but I decided to. Didn't have much else to do, and I just decided to do it, and it wasn't very interesting to film anyway, because there was a lot of, for a start, I had to remove a small section of the bogie frame. So there was a lot of cutting and sanding and filing down and everything, so it wasn't very interesting to watch, but at least now she's got a coupling and she can actually haul some wagons now. But the main aim of this video is to get her chipped, or put a decoder in her, get her hardwired, and hopefully get her running on DCC. This will probably be the last video of the project for a little while, because once I've done this, I basically don't have anything else to do. Well, not that I can do at the moment, because once I've done this, I need to order several parts for her. So once we've done this, you probably won't hear much about this project for a little while. But when we come back, we can then at least carry on improving the loco. But obviously, next thing to do is we need to get the body off. We need to get back inside, and we need to start doing some wiring. So if we just hit the body off again, fairly simple. There we go. We can put the body to one side now, because we don't need that. And now we can talk about how to wire up this particular loco to DCC. Now I have done a how-to video on how to wire these 37s to DCC. If you want to go and check it out, and feel free to, if you just go to my channel and find the video, that's where I go into proper detail about how to DCC these particular models. So I won't go into as much detail in this video, because I have already done it before. But what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing my usual thing. We're going to be using an 8-pin socket here to wire it into the loco. I might change this out for a slightly better one in the future that doesn't take up as much space, but this will do for now anyway, that we can plug the chip into to at least get it running on DCC. So since the loco doesn't have any lights at the moment, we will be fitting lights to this loco in the future, but at the moment we just want to get the loco to move basically. So the only wires we need for that are the orange, there we go, we need the red, we also need the black, and we also need the grey wire. And there we go. So these are the only colours that we need for movement. Then these other colours we don't need for the moment. So what I'll do for now is I'll temporarily use a piece of electrical tape just to secure those out the way, because we don't need them. They're not needed at the moment, so they're only needed for the functions. So if we just use a little bit of tape here, cut that off, and then we can just secure the spare colours out of the way. We'll just try and bundle them together. There we go. Ooh. It can be a little bit fiddly sometimes doing this. Let's get those bunched together. Don't want them all to roughly a similar length. There we go, that should be fine. There we go. So if we just tape those out the way, there we go. So that'll be fine like that. They're out of the way, so they shouldn't. So that shouldn't cause any problems. And we're just left with the colours that we actually need for movement. So to wire this loco to DTC, the orange and the grey wires are the ones that go to the motor. Now, obviously, we've got motor right and motor left, so the grey wire will go to this side of the motor just here. The orange wire will go to here. We will remove the capacitor because that's not needed. And then the pickup wires, obviously, we need to desolder those to the motor. And then we've got the left rail and the right rail. So I'm going to treat this side as the left, this side as the right. That's what I'm going to do. So those wires will be. So the black wire from the 8-pin socket will go to this wire here, and also to the little metal wire here, which I might replace. Actually, I'll probably replace this wire for a proper wire, so it's not just some bare metal. And then the red wire from the 8-pin socket will go to this wire here. So I'll go away, I'll do all of that, I'll get the socket fitted, and then we'll come back and we can then plug the chip in and see what she's like. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, here we are, we're back. The 8-pin socket has been wired in. It was fairly easy to do, but I've had easier conversions. Some of the wires didn't want to go together very well, but we got there eventually. All the connections have been insulated, and everything, as we can see, has been taped down, at least temporarily anyway. At least some of this we'll have to get out again. For example, we'll have to get out, obviously, these coloured wires here. Obviously, when we come to do the lighting. But for now, everything should be fine, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it should all work. So obviously the next thing to do is to plug in the chip. We're just going to use a Bachmann 8-pin decoder. This is the only spare 8-pin decoder I have at the moment, so we might as well use it. So we need to plug it in the right way round. So it needs to go in this way. There we go. A little bit difficult, but we got there. So if we just, so we need to, what we'll try and do is we'll temporarily secure the chip in place somewhere where it's not going to get damaged. If we just actually slot it down in there for now, that should be fine. There we go. Usually I would secure it in place with a double-sided sticky pad, but since we are going to probably be getting that out again in the future, and then obviously this chip won't be in the loco forever, but it will be getting sound, that should be fine for now. So anyway, let's head over to the layout and test her to see if she works. Okay, here we are. It's actually quite a bit later than I was expecting it to be. For some reason, I don't know why, the decoder's playing up. I really don't know why it is. It's definitely not because it's in this loco, because I've tested the decoder in another locomotive and it's still playing up. So not sure why it's doing that. It could be that because this particular decoder is the one that was in my Hornby Class 59, and when I had to send that loco off to have some work done to it, and that decoder was obviously sent with the loco, but sent a bit away. Yeah, the decoder was obviously sent with the loco, and when it came back, the person who did the work for me to the loco, to the 59, you'll see that work that was done in another video hopefully. I think they changed some settings on the decoder for the functions or something. So I'm guessing, but whatever they've done with the decoder, it's now playing up. It's not programming correctly. It's not responding correctly all the time. When I say that, it programs fine, but even when it's programmed, it still doesn't always behave correctly. But it's working fine now. So I'm just going to leave it. Luckily, this decoder isn't going to be it's not going to be the decoder that's going to be in this loco forever. But at least she's working. We can now run her. So let's give her a bit of a wiggle. Really good, really smooth. Obviously not completely silent, but definitely better than on DC. But anyway, I think that we can call that a success. So let's get the body back on. We'll get a few shots of her running, and then we can come back in the next part and we'll carry on with the project. So let's get the body back on and let's get her running. Yeah, overall, very successful, I think, apart from the dodgy decoder. She's running really nicely. Nice and smooth, obviously not silent, but you don't really get silent running from new models. But yeah, overall, very good. So thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in part 3 of the project.